Have you ever met someone who just radiates youthful energy, regardless of their age? They may be in their 40s, 50s, or even older, but something about them feels vibrant, alive, and light. This isn't about cosmetic procedures or skincare routines. It's something deeper. It's psychological, possibly even spiritual. According to Jungian psychology, physical appearance is often a reflection of deeper, unconscious forces. And when someone seems to stay young over the years, it may not just be luck or genetics. It may be a sign of a hidden inner gift, a spiritual power operating below the surface, without the person even being aware of it. Jung spoke extensively about the relationship between the psyche and the body. In his view, unresolved trauma and repressed emotions weigh heavily on the individual, not just psychologically, but physically. Over time, this weight expresses itself in how we age, how we move, how we carry ourselves. On the other hand, people who integrate certain unconscious contents, especially those related to their shadow and inner child, tend to appear more vital, more whole, more alive. So what exactly are these youthful individuals doing differently? And why do they often seem to carry an almost magnetic charm? The answer lies in their relationship with their inner world. 1. They've maintained a connection to the inner child. Carl Jung believed the inner child is a symbolic expression of the original self, playful, curious, creative, and free. Most people lose touch with this part of themselves over time. They become overly rational, overly serious, hardened by life. But those who stay connected to this part of their psyche carry a type of lightness. They don't suppress joy. They don't hide their imagination. And this has real psychological and even physical consequences. When we repress the inner child, the psyche suffers. Jung warned that ignoring our childlike essence leads to neurosis, cynicism, and emotional stagnation. But honoring it can lead to healing, and in some cases, even external rejuvenation. You've probably met someone who still laughs freely, plays with life, and doesn't take themselves too seriously. It's not immaturity. It's psychological wisdom. These people don't just feel younger, they often look it. 2. They've made peace with their shadow. One of the most important ideas in Jung's work is the concept of the shadow, the dark, unconscious side of the personality. When denied, the shadow festers. It leaks into our behavior, fuels projection, and creates inner conflict. This constant battle depletes energy, which eventually shows in the body. But individuals who confront and integrate their shadow develop a deeper level of self-acceptance. They stop wasting energy on denial, defense mechanisms, and pretending. This frees up psychic energy. It reduces inner stress. And when the mind relaxes, the body often follows. A person who has confronted their shame, their anger, their hidden desires, and integrated them with compassion becomes lighter, not just spiritually, but physically. That tension in the jaw disappears. The eyes soften. The body posture changes. They move through life with a grace that others notice but can't quite explain. 3. They subconsciously transmit wholeness. Youthfulness, in the Jungian sense, has less to do with age and more to do with integration. The more whole a person becomes, the more they unite the conscious and unconscious, the light and dark, the masculine and feminine, the more magnetism they seem to emit. Jungians call this the individuation process. And although most people never consciously engage with it, some live it naturally. These are the ones who appear unusually balanced, grounded, yet vibrant. They don't just radiate physical beauty. They radiate psychological completeness. That's what people are drawn to. That's why others say, there's something about them. Because there is. They've unknowingly activated a spiritual power that slows down the wear and tear of modern life. They age, but they age differently. People who look younger than their age often carry something inside them that others don't. And they usually have no idea. According to Jungian psychology, it's not about what they do, but about what they carry unconsciously, a kind of inner alignment that shields them from psychological decay. Let's break down what that means. 4. A natural relationship with the unconscious. Carl Jung believed that most people live disconnected from their unconscious. They fear it. They suppress dreams, ignore instincts, and run from inner discomfort. But there are rare individuals who, without even realizing it, live in sync with their unconscious mind. These people tend to trust their gut. They follow strange intuitions. They allow life to unfold instead of trying to control every detail. And this puts them in a state of psychological flow. Living this way protects the mind from the chronic stress of resistance. When you're not constantly at war with yourself, denying emotions, suppressing truths, rejecting parts of who you are, you save enormous amounts of energy. That energy, Jung might say, is redirected back into the psyche and the body. It keeps you vibrant, present, alive. It's not just spiritual, it's neurological. And while most of this happens unconsciously, the results are visible. 5. Less identified with the persona. In Jungian terms, the persona is the social mask you wear, the version of yourself you show the world. Most people are deeply identified with it. They live to impress, to please, to perform. But maintaining that mask takes effort. It creates stress, insecurity, and a fear of being found out. Those who seem younger often carry a lighter persona, or, sometimes, no persona at all. They've dropped the act. They're real. They're not trying to be liked. And because of that, they radiate authenticity. Jung called this the transcendent function, when a person moves beyond false oppositions and into a deeper truth. That truth shows. You can't fake it. When someone sheds the need to constantly protect their image, their nervous system relaxes. And again, that peace isn't just emotional, it's visible. You can see it in their face. You can feel it in their presence. 6. Unintentional healers. Many of these youthful individuals aren't just spiritually aligned. They're also healers, whether they know it or not. People feel better around them. Why? Because they hold what Jung would call a symbol of wholeness. They represent what others long for: integration, peace with the shadow, and a connection to the deeper layers of the self. When you've done even a small amount of inner work, especially work involving the shadow, trauma, or grief, you emit something powerful. Not flashy, not loud, but stabilizing, centered. And in a world that's lost touch with itself, this energy becomes magnetic. People who seem to glow with youth often have this stabilizing energy. And most of the time, they're completely unaware of it. They just are. But what they represent goes far beyond appearance. It's a symbol of what the human spirit is capable of. 7. A sense of mystery. There's often something mysterious about these individuals. You can't quite figure them out. They may speak softly, but you remember every word. They might not seek attention, but people are drawn to them. Why? Because mystery is a product of depth, and depth is what Jung associated with the self, the true core of the psyche. When someone has explored their unconscious, even partially, they develop a certain gravity. They don't reveal everything. They don't need validation. And they're not easily shaken by life's chaos. That depth produces mystery. And mystery, paradoxically, makes someone look youthful, not in a shallow way, but in a soul-level way. Jung believed the unconscious is the source of renewal. Those who tap into it, even accidentally, seem to regenerate themselves from within. Their eyes stay sharp. Their energy stays clean. And their presence carries the weight of someone who has seen darkness but didn't let it destroy them. We tend to think of aging as purely physical: skin, bones, wrinkles. But Jung saw aging as just as much psychological as biological. According to him, many signs of aging come from spiritual fatigue, unresolved conflict, and a life disconnected from the deeper self. People who look younger often carry less psychological weight. That's the real secret. It's not about staying happy all the time. It's about not being at war with who you are. Let's break down the deeper mechanics behind that youthful energy. 8. Emotional fluidity versus emotional blockage. Most people are emotionally blocked. They repress sadness, hide anger, and fake happiness. Jung warned that anything we repress doesn't just disappear. It festers in the unconscious and leaks into the body. Over time, it becomes tension, illness, and yes, accelerated aging. Those who appear youthful are usually emotionally fluid. They feel their emotions instead of bottling them up. They might cry when they need to, laugh loudly, speak truth when it hurts. They don't build up emotional pressure, and that creates a profound internal freedom. Jung believed this emotional honesty is central to individuation. You can't become whole if you're always hiding what you feel. And the less you hide, the lighter your psyche becomes. That lightness often shows in your posture, your eyes, your voice, and your face. 9. They live with a sense of purpose. Nothing ages the human spirit faster than meaninglessness. Jung treated many patients in midlife who were not physically sick, but spiritually exhausted. They had money, status, and success, but no purpose, no connection to something greater than themselves. People who retain their vitality into older age often live with a deep, inner sense of meaning. It doesn't need to be grand. They might be artists, teachers, caretakers, or simply deeply in tune with nature or their inner world. But they're anchored, grounded in something that gives life depth. Jung believed that purpose gives energy, that a person who feels spiritually connected will radiate life force. They might look average on the outside, but their presence feels young, alive, full of potential. It's the soul that keeps them young, not the body. 10. Reduced ego identification. Ego isn't the enemy, but over-identifying with it is a psychological trap. The ego wants control, certainty, power, and status. It fears failure. It needs approval. And when the ego runs your life, you become rigid, anxious, tense. This shows in your body and your face. Over time, you become hard, inside and out. But when someone loosens their grip on the ego, everything softens. They accept uncertainty. They laugh at themselves. They're flexible with life. And this flexibility is key. Jung believed that psychological rigidity ages you. Flexibility keeps you young. People who look younger often live from a deeper place than ego. They don't need to prove anything. They're not obsessed with image. And because of that, they move through life with less resistance. They allow life to shape them, instead of trying to shape everything around them. That humility is powerful. And ironically, it makes them more magnetic than those who try too hard to be impressive. 11. They don't accumulate psychological clutter. Most people accumulate more than just physical stuff. They accumulate psychological debris. Old grudges, outdated beliefs, stories that no longer serve them. This internal clutter drains energy and clouds the spirit. People who remain youthful tend to release what no longer serves them. They forgive, let go, and update their internal worldview as they grow. They're not stuck in who they were 10 years ago. They allow transformation. And Jung saw this ability as essential to individuation, the process of becoming fully oneself. This constant renewal is why they feel fresh. They're not dragging a dead past behind them. They're light, not because life has been easy, but because they've learned how to shed emotional weight. At this point, it should be clear, looking younger isn't just about appearance. It's a mirror, reflecting something much deeper. In Jungian terms, it's often a sign of someone who is unconsciously aligned with the self. Not the ego, not the persona, but the true, central core of their being. These people don't necessarily follow spiritual paths. They might not meditate or read Jung, but their lifestyle, attitude, and way of being naturally reflect the process Jung called individuation, the journey of becoming whole. Let's finish by exploring what this youthfulness really means, and how it signals a deeper transformation at work. 12. They embody wholeness, without performing it. In the age of social media and self-help, many people perform authenticity. They talk about shadow work. They post about being real. But the energy behind it often feels forced. Truly youthful individuals don't perform depth. They simply are. They're not obsessed with appearing spiritual or wise. In fact, many of them are humble, even unaware of the impact they have. But their presence says everything. You feel it when you're around them. A calm, a groundedness, a silent power. Jung described this kind of individual as someone who has constellated the self. In other words, the deepest layer of their psyche is now active. Not just the ego, not just the unconscious, but the self, the totality of who they are. And when the self takes over, the whole personality reorganizes itself around peace, balance, and meaning. That's what you're seeing in them. That's the glow. That's the timeless quality. It's not skincare, it's soul work. 13. Their lives are symbols. Jung believed that a truly integrated person becomes a symbol, not in the literal sense, but in a psychological one. Their life reflects a deeper truth. It awakens something in others. You see them and think, that's what I want to be. Not because they're rich or famous, but because they seem to have cracked a code most people are still struggling to understand. They represent what happens when you stop resisting life, when you face your shadow, when you integrate your past, when you let go of the performance, the ego games, the false goals. They remind others that there is a way to live that doesn't drain you, harden you, or leave you numb. And it shows. In their eyes, in their laughter, in their silence. 14. They carry regenerative energy. One of the most overlooked aspects of Jung's psychology is how energy works. Jung believed that unresolved internal conflict drains energy, and this lack of psychic energy leads to mental illness, burnout, and even physical decline. On the flip side, integration restores energy. It creates flow, and that flow revitalizes the person from the inside out. People who look younger often carry regenerative energy. They seem to recharge others simply by being present. This isn't magic. It's what happens when someone has healed key parts of themselves. Their nervous system is calm. Their heart is open. Their unconscious is no longer working against them. And because they're not leaking energy through constant internal battles, they shine. 15. They live in alignment with the self. Ultimately, Carl Jung taught that the deepest goal of life isn't success, happiness, or even knowledge. It's wholeness, becoming who you truly are, facing your contradictions, embracing your darkness, honoring your light, and integrating it all into one cohesive being. People who look younger, who radiate that timeless essence, are often far along this path, even if they don't know it. Their lives are less fragmented. Their identities are more honest. Their presence more rooted. And that inner harmony spills into the outer world. You can't fake it. You can't copy it. You can't buy it. It's the result of deep psychological transformation. That's why it's rare. That's why it's powerful. And that's why, when you meet someone like this, you remember them. Not because of how they look, but because of what their presence awakens in you.